Before Naughty Dog was crafting cinematic games like The Last of Us and Uncharted, they were making more simpler, more colorful worlds like Jak and Daxter and the Precursor Legacy. After the success of Crash and the PlayStation 1, it was time for Naughty Dog to move forward with the PS2 and develop a new game, new franchise for the system. But this game wasn't just their follow-up act. It was a bold leap onto new hardware, packed with ambition, charm, and some seriously impressive tech for 2001. It kicked off a beloved franchise and showcased a seamless open world that blew minds back in the day. The team at Naughty Dog created a brand new engine that streamed in data in real time. No load screens, no level breaks, just one giant interconnected world. At the time, that was mind-blowing, and honestly, it still kind of is. After the development of Crash Team Racing, Naughty Dog faced a big question. What's next? The PS2 was here, offering way more power, and Sony needed a new game. Instead of another Crash, Naughty Dog decided to build something entirely new from the ground up. Like I said before, their ambition was huge. They envisioned a massive interconnected world bursting with life, maybe even inspired by things like Miyazaki films. But the real technical challenge was no loading screens. This new engine, this new tech that they developed for their own game was called Goal. They poured resources into creating incredibly fluid animations, even bringing in talent from Disney. Development took nearly 3 years and cost a reported $14 million, which was a lot for back then. At its core, Jak and Daxter is a 3D platformer. Jak can double jump, roll jump, spin, punch, and combine moves to maintain flow. Like any platformer, the goal is to collect items. These items are called power cells. They're your ticket to progress, and you'll earn them by completing platforming challenges, solving puzzles, or helping NPCs. There are two other minor collectibles, one being the Precursor eggs, and the other being the Scout flies. So what's the story? We meet Jak, our hero, and his really kind of annoying best friend, Daxter. Jak in the first game was a silent protagonist, kind of like Crash and Link. His partner, Daxter, was essentially Jak's voice in the game. Against the warnings of the grumpy village sage Samos, they explore the forbidden Misty Island. One clumsy fall later, Daxter takes an involuntary dip in a pool of nasty dark eco. He then transformed into this sassy, furry creature called an Ottsel, which is basically a hybrid of an otter and a weasel. When I first played the game, way back when I was a kid, I didn't really understand the story of the game, and I also didn't understand why Daxter didn't die. The story itself is relatively simple, but Daxter not dying was kind of confusing as a kid because when you play the game and, Jak instantly dies or takes damage from Dark Eco, and throughout the Jak and Daxter universe, Dark Eco is the nasty bad shit, but for some reason Daxter didn't die. Speaking of the story, so naturally Daxter wants to be human again, or are they actually humans? I mean, I think they are. I mean, they're humanoid. The only thing that doesn't make them look 100% human are the long ears, kind of like Highlands or, elves. They have pointy ears, but I guess they are human. So anyway, naturally, Daxter wants to be human again. Samos points them to Gol Acheron or Acheron, I don't know how to pronounce his name, the Dark Eco expert, as their only hope. But getting there requires power cells to operate ancient precursor technology and fuel the awesome zoomer built by Samos' brilliant daughter Kira. Along the way, they uncover a plot by Gol and his sister Maya, who have been corrupted by Dark Eco and plan to, flood the world with stuff using a giant robot. Generic villain stuff. But elevated by fantastic character interactions and a genuinely charming world filled with quirky NPCs, the dynamic between the stoic Jak and the constantly complaining wisecracking Daxter is the heart and soul of the adventure. I think the world design is the star here. Instead of isolated levels, each area connects organically. You run from one biome to another, across beaches, into jungles, through temples, all without a single loading screen. There's even a real-time day and night cycle. Birds fly, waves crash, and every inch of the world feels alive. So I've mentioned Dark Eco a lot, but what is Eco? Eco is this mystical energy and it's everywhere. Green Eco heals you, Blue Eco makes you run super fast, it activates Precursor tech, and acts like a magnet for the Precursor orbs. Yellow Eco lets you shoot fireballs, and Red Eco makes you almost one-shot enemies when you punch them. As mentioned before, the game is a 3D platformer, meaning that collectibles are in play. I wouldn't call this game a collectathon per se, but there are things to collect. Your main goal is grabbing power cells, 101 of them scattered everywhere. You get them for completing tasks, finding secrets, winning minigames, training in hundreds of shiny Precursor orbs, or hunting down all 7 scout flights hitting in each major zone. It does sound like a lot, but the seamless exploration, it's like very organic. That seamless world is still impressive. Traveling from the sunny Sandor village through murky swamps, up fiery volcanoes, and into icy mountains without a single loading screen, it's mind-blowing, even to this day, in my opinion. The game also throws in vehicle sections, primarily the Agrav Zoomer, which can be thrilling but occasionally frustrating with its sensitive controls. It's not terrible, like it's not like, oh my god, I hate this, but it does get annoying a little bit sometimes. And there's also a giant bird called a Flute, which I think we ride like twice in the game, if I'm being honest. Beyond just, playing really well, Jak and Daxter it looks and it sounds really, really good. The aesthetic is honestly really amazing, especially for the time during, the PS2 era. The art style is incredibly vibrant and imaginative. I'm keeping this in. Blending natural landscapes with strange ancient Precursor technology. Character designs are also unique and expressive. The soundtrack by Josh Mansell perfectly complements the atmosphere. Catchy jungle beats, mystical Precursor themes, tense chase music. It sets the mood without being intrusive. And the voice acting is honestly really good for the time. Especially Daxter. He basically steals the show with his performance is really hilarious, and he's an icon. He's an icon. That's all I can say. And also the sound effects themselves are dense. There are a lot of different types of sounds in the game. You have things like birds chirping, fucking Daxter yelling in your ear. Not yelling, but ancient machines, which are the Precursor, machines. It just adds a lot to the atmosphere of the game. When Jak walks on water, it sounds, splashy. When he walks on wood, it sounds like stiff. When he walks on like metal, it sounds metallic. The game's sound is also very impressive. For a 2001 game, Jak and Daxter was a technical marvel. Naughty Dog used streaming technology to eliminate load times, packed the game with over 100,000 polygons on screen at once, and had 800 unique character animations. You can almost argue that it was one of the first games to really show the power of the PS2. So how did the world react? What were the reviews and critics at the time? So, critics loved it. Jak and Daxter earned rave reviews across the board. The graphics, the seamless world, the tight gameplay, the polish. It was hailed as a technical masterpiece and a must-have PS2 exclusive. It sold millions, spawned a whole series of games that took Jak and Daxter in very, very different directions from the original game. And it really cemented Naughty Dog's reputation as masters of their craft. Its influence can be felt in how subsequent open-world games handled immersion and exploration on consoles. The Precursor legacy does hold a special place for many gamers, especially myself, because, childhood game, and it's just a wonderful game to play. And while the sequels matured with the audience by adding guns and making the games a bit more darker, the original game remains as a shining example of pure, colorful, incredibly well-made 3D platforming. It's pure comfort food for gaming, to be honest. I'm not saying Jak 2, Jak 3 are, inferior to the original, because they got darker, they matured more, and the guns. But I feel that the first one does hold a more special place in people's hearts because it was the first one. It was the one that spawned this trilogy of games. And also, again, like I said, the charm. It's just a wonderful game to play. Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, is more than just nostalgia for me. It's brilliantly designed. It showed innovation on a technical standpoint, and it's just a charming adventure. It captured the excitement of a new console generation and delivered an experience that felt both familiar in its platforming roots, but also revolutionary in its actions. In its actions. If you grew up with this game, you know how special it is. If you never played it and you enjoy classic 3D platformers like Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, all the fucking classics, it's honestly worth checking out. Especially now that it's easily available on modern PlayStation consoles or, emulators. It's a statement to Naughty Dog's early genius and a fantastic start to the iconic series.